Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss stories like this. The grand lobby of the 5-star hotel buzzed with the usual noise of wealthy guests, polite greetings from bellboys, and the soft chime of the piano playing in the background. Alexander Grant, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp business mind and cold demeanor, walked through the marble-floored entrance. Adjusting the cuffs of his tailored suit, to anyone watching, he seemed like a man who had everything: money, power, respect. But deep inside, there were cracks. Pieces of a life he had left behind years ago. He wasn't here for a vacation. He was here for an exclusive business meeting that could secure him another $1 million deal. As he passed through the corridor towards the conference room, something caught the corner of his eye. A woman, kneeling quietly in the corner, scrubbing the floors. Nothing unusual in a hotel like this. Except it wasn't just any woman. His feet froze. His breath caught. It was her, Emma, his ex-wife. The woman he hadn't seen in 4 years. The same woman he once promised the world to. Only to walk away when life got too complicated. His mind raced. Could it really be Emma? She looked thinner, her hair tucked messily under a janitor's cap. Her uniform faded, and yet it was unmistakably her. But there was something else, something he couldn't ignore. She was visibly pregnant. Alexander's throat tightened as 100 questions flooded his mind all at once. Why is she working as a janitor? How did she end up here? And whose child is she carrying? He turned sharply, hiding behind a tall decorative pillar, watching her from a distance. Emma hadn't noticed him yet. She kept her head down, scrubbing the tiles as if the whole world didn't exist around her. Memories he had buried deep came rushing back. Their late nights, their shared dreams, their laughter, and the day he walked out, believing it was the best for both of them. He thought she'd move on, find someone better, live a comfortable life. Yet here she was, working in silence, carrying a child. All alone, Alexander's heart pounded against his chest, louder than the chatter of the guests or the soft music echoing through the hotel. He could have left. He could have ignored it, pretended it wasn't her. But something about seeing Emma like this felt like a punch to the gut. She didn't belong here. Not like this. And then came the most terrifying thought. What if the baby was his? Emma finally stood up, stretching her back and wiping sweat from her forehead. As she moved to push the cleaning cart forward, she spotted Alexander, standing frozen in disbelief. Their eyes met. For a second, the entire hotel disappeared. There was no luxury, no business meeting, no guests. Just the two of them, staring across the polished floor like strangers who somehow knew every inch of each other's hearts. Emma's face went pale, her hand instinctively resting on her swollen belly. She blinked, as if trying to make sure she wasn't imagining him. And Alexander, he stood speechless, feeling guilt, confusion, and a surge of emotions he hadn't felt in years. But before either could say a word, Emma turned away, pushing her, cart, and disappearing into the service hallway without a second glance, leaving Alexander standing there, his world spinning. He clenched his fists. Was she avoiding him? Was she hiding something? Or was she simply hurt? Alexander knew one thing, for sure. He couldn't walk away this time. But what would he do next? Would he confront her? Would Emma let him into her life again? Or was it already too late? The answers were hidden behind the same doors she had just disappeared through. And Alexander was about to find out. Alexander stood frozen for a moment, staring at the hallway Emma had disappeared into. His instincts screamed at him to follow, but his feet refused to move. How could he? After all this time, How could he just barge into her life again, especially when it was clear she wanted nothing to do with him? The last time they spoke, Emma had begged him to stay, to fight for them, but he had walked away, convinced he was doing the right thing. He thought his wealth, his business, his ambition were more important. He never imagined he would find her like this, not in some hotel corridor, pregnant and scrubbing floors. Later that night, Alexander sat alone in his hotel suite, staring out at the city lights, but his mind was stuck on Emma. He needed answers. Was she okay? Whose baby was she carrying? Had life been this hard on her all along, while he had been busy building skyscrapers and signing deals? He couldn't shake the image of her wiping sweat from her brow, trying to hide the bump under that loose uniform. The next morning, Alexander returned to the lobby, pretending to be busy with work, but his eyes kept searching for her. Hours passed, but Emma never showed up. Frustrated and restless, he did something he never thought he would. He approached the hotel manager, slipping a generous tip across the desk. He quietly asked about the janitor with dark hair who worked the night shift. The manager, hesitant at first, simply said, "Emma, yes, she's a good worker, keeps to herself. She's been through a lot." That sentence haunted Alexander as he returned to his suite. Been through a lot. His mind spun with possibilities. He remembered Emma's eyes yesterday, filled with something deeper than anger, hurt, betrayal, maybe even fear. Meanwhile, Emma sat quietly in her small, dimly lit apartment just a few blocks away. She stared at the stack of unpaid bills on the table, her hand resting on her growing belly. Seeing Alexander had shaken her to the core. She never thought their paths would cross again. Not after what happened. The truth was, Emma had hidden her pregnancy for as long as she could, working night shifts to avoid people she might know, not because she was ashamed, but because the baby she was carrying wasn't just any child. It was Alexander's. She whispered, softly, "You're safe with me, little one," gently rubbing her belly. Emma knew the risks of letting him back into her life. Alexander wasn't just a man with money. He was a man who had left her when she needed him the most. Could she trust him now, after everything? Days passed, but Alexander didn't give up. He began watching quietly from afar, noticing how Emma always arrived early, left late, and never seemed to have anyone waiting for her. No family, no friends, just her and that child. His heart grew heavier with every passing moment. One rainy evening, fate took control. Alexander spotted Emma struggling to carry a broken vacuum cleaner into the service entrance. Without thinking, he rushed forward, grabbing it from her hands. Emma spun around, startled. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Alexander's voice was soft, but firm. I need to talk to you." Emma shook her head, stepping back. "There's nothing to say. You made your choice years ago. But you're..." Alexander's eyes drifted to her stomach. "Emma, you're pregnant." She turned away, hiding the tears threatening to fall. "It's none of your business." Alexander stepped closer, desperate. "Is it mine?" Emma's breath caught. For a split second, Alexander saw the truth flicker in her eyes before she quickly masked it. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled her jacket tighter and said, "Leave me alone, Alexander. You don't belong in my world anymore." But Alexander couldn't. Not this time. Not when it was clear Emma was carrying a child that might be his. He watched her walk away again, just like before, but this time, he wasn't ready to let her go. In the days that followed, Alexander's obsession grew. He dug deeper into Emma's life. The struggles she had faced after their divorce, the quiet jobs, the eviction notices, and the loneliness. She had been surviving all on her own, and he hated himself for every second of it. At the same time, Emma fought an internal battle. Part of her longed to tell Alexander the truth, to admit that after he left, she found out she was pregnant, but chose to carry on alone. She feared his reaction, feared that he would want to take control or worse, take the child from her. But there was another part of her, buried deep, that still loved him, and that scared her more than anything. The next stormy night, Alexander stood outside Emma's apartment, drenched, holding a small stuffed bunny and a bag of groceries. He knocked gently, unsure if she would even open the door. Inside, Emma stared at the door, tears welling in her eyes. Should she let him in? Should she trust him again after everything? With trembling hands, Emma reached for the doorknob, and then the screen went black. Emma's hand trembled on the doorknob as the storm raged outside. Her heart pounded, battling between fear and hope. Slowly she opened the door, and there he was, Alexander, standing helplessly soaked, holding a small stuffed bunny and the groceries. He looked nothing like the cold millionaire she remembered. He looked human, vulnerable. "I didn't know where else to go," Alexander said softly, lowering his head as if asking for permission to even stand there. Emma blinked, staring at him, not sure if she was dreaming or if this was really happening. After a long pause, she stepped aside and let him in. The apartment was small, barely enough for one person, yet somehow Emma had made it warm. Alexander set the groceries on the table and glanced around, noticing the signs of Emma's struggle, the worn-out furniture, the stack of unpaid bills, and the quietness in the air all told stories he had never bothered to listen to before. Emma sat down, pulling her sweater tight. "Why are you here, Alexander?" she asked quietly, unable to meet his eyes. "I was a fool," Alexander admitted. "Back then, I thought walking away would spare us both more pain. I thought you'd be better off without me. I couldn't give you the kind of husband you needed. Not when I was drowning in deals and deadlines. But seeing you here, like this, Emma, I can't pretend I didn't see you. Or the baby." Emma's eyes welled up with tears. "You saw everything, yet you don't know the half of it." Alexander stepped closer. "Then tell me," he pleaded. "Please." Emma looked away, biting her lip. "I found out I was pregnant the week after you left. I wanted to tell you, but I knew you were gone for good. I tried to be strong. I worked double shifts, gave up everything just to make sure our baby would have something. Anything. And you were out there, making millions, while I was scrubbing floors." Alexander's throat tightened. "Emma, why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't trust you," she whispered. "You left without looking back. How was I supposed to believe you would care about us now?" Alexander's chest rose and fell rapidly. "I deserve that. But Emma, I do care. More than you. No. I've spent days watching you struggle from the shadows. I'm not here to buy you back with money. I'm here because I want to be part of this. Part of your life. Part of our baby's life. Please, give me a chance to make it right." Emma's lip quivered. Every part of her wanted to believe him, but fear gripped her. "What if you walk away again when it gets hard?" Alexander gently took her hand. "I won't. I swear on everything I have. On everything I am. I'm not leaving. Not this time." For the first time, Emma saw not the millionaire everyone else saw, but the man she had once fallen in love with. His eyes, once full of ambition, were now filled with nothing but sincerity. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "I'm scared, Alexander." "So am I," he admitted. But let's be scared together. At that moment, something shifted. Emma finally allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, Alexander had changed. And for the first time since their breakup, she let him hold her. They stood in silence as the storm outside softened, as if the world itself was waiting for them to start over. Months passed, and true to his word, Alexander didn't leave. He sold off most of his business, stepping down from his empire. He traded boardrooms and deals for late-night baby shopping and doctor visits. Emma watched him change, not with grand gestures, but with the little things. Learning how to cook, reading parenting books, and holding her hand through every hospital appointment. The day their daughter was born, Alexander cried harder than Emma had ever seen. As he held the tiny baby girl in his arms, he whispered, "You're perfect, and I promise, I'm never leaving again." Emma watched from the hospital bed, realizing that while life hadn't given them the perfect path, maybe it had given them exactly what they needed, a second chance. They didn't live in a mansion. They didn't need one. They built a small home together, filled with laughter, midnight feedings, and burnt pancakes. The man who once measured success in millions now found it in baby giggles and quiet nights with Emma. And for Emma, she realized that sometimes love doesn't come back the way you expect it. Sometimes it comes quietly, humbly, and willing to start over. So, what would you have done in Emma's place? Would you have forgiven him? Tell us in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. Thank you for watching.